And by the way, you mentioned so many responsibilities. It's obvious that when we talk about being the founder, you have to juggle multiple duties, right?
Yeah,
And that also leads us to burnout very often.
yeah.
So, how do you avoid experiencing burnout as you build, scale, and grow your business from idea to execution?
Um, I think the burnout is the main indicator if, for example, you are doing it in a not right direction, or you want like um, so fast results, and you put yourself in the specific circumstances where you're under stress. And that's why in most cases the ideal thing, and it's in the community as well, and we also try to do that. So basically you have your, usually why it happens because either you are run out of budget, or you failed with expectations, or you already promised something to someone and you cannot deliver that, or any other else, because this is, you figure out that this is the project which you are not interested in no more, but you actually promised your team or your like partners, peers, and you told everyone that you will do that, and now you have some kind of the internal feelings that this is not right. The first parts and the first points actually solve pretty quickly, because the perfect idea of this solopreneurship, etc., is to have some stable income, or the job where you have on the one side covering your costs, and having some money for the budget or additional um, expenses for the startup. That's why I told that you need to keep them as low as possible, because in this case, you see that, okay, I spent like $200 for this project. I code it with no code or like AI. It doesn't work out. I don't care. I just move forward and I produce another idea. Now I become smarter. But it's not affected, you are not affected by it so much, because basically you still have the job, you have all the costs covered, etc. um, it's another story when you raise investment like 50K, and you understand that this idea is not right, and I raise the money. This is what we did actually. It's like was 60K, 60 to 80K. And now you're in trouble, because now you need to reiterate, now you put yourself in circumstances when you cannot do other things, and now it's like a tricky part. um, this not other thing, when you understand that it's not up to you, you just to be honest with yourself, you just understand that you still the pretty damn good in what you've done, because basically you are like 1% of people who actually created something. Not everyone is creating, you one of this little group. But this happens, and you have the statistics, and your startup just failed, or maybe you are in a position when you are in like death, how this calls, like some valley where you need just to spend extra amount of time, extra amount of efforts, and extra amount of resources to go from this place, right?
Mhm.
And in this case you need just to decide on yourself whether you are completely honest with you, yourself, and understand that, hey, I need to just make it a pause. I need to either sell it to other anyone, or just drop it and do other, or I will push to the limits, to the specific point where I understand that this is working or this is not working. And if it's not working, I will just pause and move on. If it's working, it's fine. Or you can just understand that, yes, it's what I would like to do, and you just push and push and push unless you have the first result. But you need to understand what is the initial milestone for that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I have another question.
Yeah.
So, what do you think you should do as a business owner on your own? What do you think you should delegate to other people? And what do you think should be automated from the first day that you start a business?
It really depends on which type of business you start doing. So if you speak about like offline business, in most cases, um, you usually do it by yourself. So you actually know every detail in the business. It is the same with the AI and SaaS projects, etc. So you basically, ideally, you need to do everything. Ideally, you need to understand the whole details of every piece of your project and product. However, not all the time you can do this, and some people are not technical one, and some people just want to code and just be on their side and delegate the other. In this case, you need a co-founder, and in this case, you probably might look for other person who is really skillful in this specific field, but he doesn't want to do what you actually are passionate about. And this is how you create a partnership and create the specific like project. Like it can be the side project, it can be the startup, etc. If I speak about automation, the main point of automation is to have the process. So basically, do it by yourself with your hands. Understand what is the input and output for that. Second of all, is understand that either it can be delegated or not. If it can be delegated, to find the person, okay. If it is not delegated, then you can find the specific tools, automations, how to do this. But you understand the process and you work through it on your own. Because in other case, you will have the situation when, hey guys, I would like to have an automation which will do everything for me, and I need, it's like in the meme, I need $1 million. Please tell me, ChatGPT, how to make $1 million tomorrow. Pretty fast with low risk. Yeah. So basically, it happens because you do not understand, or just the person that doesn't understand the basic concept. So AI is not like replacing you; it's enhancing your project, your flows, everything which you already have and created.
Something that you mentioned, by the way, you mentioned looking for a co-founder. How do
Mhm.
you know that you need a co-founder, and what kind of skills would a perfect co-founder need to have for you to trust him?
This is actually from the Y Combinator thing. They actually did some kind of study, or maybe other accelerators did that as well. So ideally, there are several skill sets which need to be presented in the startup. It doesn't matter what is the size of it, what is the sphere, etc. So first is like the negotiation part. So the person or the group of people who is representing, who doing the like presentations, who doing the commitments with others, who find looking for partners. So basically, the front man or front woman. So this usually requires the like leadership role or like leadership skills. And next, the second part, the second skill set is the technical skill set. If we're speaking about the creating of SaaS or like a IT project, should be the person who actually knows how to do this technically. He can do it by himself, or he can do this with AI. Doesn't matter. Next skill set is like marketing part. It's combined with the first skill set because yes, you can negotiate some deals and you can raise investments, but who the hell will promote this thing? Because in other way, you could just create the product. You spend like $100,000 and you have the product which is unknown how to promote. You do not know where to start, what's your target audience, etc., etc., and what's next. So marketing skills are really important. It's like more than 65-70% of the success in now in IT as well. And the next part is I think the final skill sets is the final skill, finance. So basically understanding the numbers, analytics, and finance. Because basically, yes, you can have the leadership who can just do the commitments. You can have the technical person, you can have the marketing person. But if you don't have the person who is responsible for like the finance, or actually it cannot be like every skill set is for the one person. It can be one person who combines like 2 or 3 skill sets. That's why usually you have like 2 or 3 people in the startups, because one covers one part and the second covers, usually one covers the leadership, communications, maybe sometimes marketing, because usually it's like the creative part, and the second covers like technical realization plus management, operational management, and sometimes finance. because finance requires numbers and analytics. And usually these are two founders in a team. And sometimes if the project needs to be like high in scale, yes, you can hire additional people. It can be 3 to 4 founders, but usually even like most accelerators and investors looking for this type of skill sets, because in other way you are missing the specific important parts behind the table, and as a result your project, in some cases there is high probability that your project will not succeed.
Got it. One more question that I want to ask you
Okay,
for today.
sure.
As a person who has spoken to many businesses, who has built his own startups, both successful and non-successful,
Mhm.
if you could name the top three mistakes that founders make, what would they be and why?
This is actually what I always tell business owners and startup owners. And actually, these were mistakes which we did in our first endeavors. And at some points in the project, we like started in 2020, etc. in the beginning. So first is like lack of marketing at all. You just need to understand that right now there is oversupply of the goods and services, and you compete. If you are in the IT world, you are competing with the whole world, and you're competing with guys in India or Pakistan who are not sleeping at all. Now, never, almost never. And they actually can do the same what you are doing cheaper and faster. So the main thing which you need to understand, that you need to market, that you need to know the person who you actually need to sell it. So first, marketing, because it's crucial. And second is unit economy. If we speak about the any type of business, any type of startup, product, service, doesn't matter. You need to understand the numbers, how much money you need to earn from one client, what's the average paycheck, what's the customer acquisition cost, what is the cost structure for your tool and service, in terms of like APIs or creation, or like purchasing the product if you're reselling it in e-commerce or like in logistics. It doesn't matter. You need to understand that there are certain percentages which need to be kept. For example, like in IT, we see that, and it's like the the standard for us. We see in a SaaS that no more than 30% should be your customer acquisition cost. For example, if I have the subscription like with a LTV of like $200, it means that my maximum customer acquisition cost should be 60. Ideally 30. It's like if I want to recoup the money from the first month. Uh, so knowing the numbers. And I guess the third part is to understand that you need to reiterate your project, your product need to be rebuilt, I think several times. In the first project, and actually right now, I don't know, we just rebuilt JDrank, which we had in one of the companies. We rebuilt like 2 or 3 times, based on the feedback from the customers, based on the approaches, based on the different fields, because the more feedback you receive, the more you understand that you need to change something in the architecture, and that's why using no code and like AI coding is important, because it's speed up so much. Yeah, I guess these are three main points here.
Got it. Perhaps there are some questions from the community that you could also answer.
I think not now. I think there will be some questions and comments in the comment section in the post, and people we will look through that and definitely will answer. Yes, maybe any other words from your side, Eugene?
I'm just thinking about marketing, basically. Something that you mentioned rings true from my personal experience. I've
Mhm.
spoken to a lot of founders that are very passionate about their products. You know, they can talk about them for hours and they can talk about the most techiest details about what they're building, to the
Mhm.
point that you just can't stop them. But when it comes to marketing, like one thing that I would tell them, that how do you explain this to people who don't geek out on this as much as you do? How do you explain it to people who just want a similar solution, but they don't want to listen to our long lectures? They want to just get the benefits. They want, clear dosage of information that
Mhm.
makes sense to them, and they want to get it here and now so that they can start using it. And I think that this is a big problem that a lot of tech founders have, is that they basically they have great ideas, don't get me wrong, but they can't really explain it in a way that even a child would understand it, right? And even a child would be like, hey,
Yeah.
this is something interesting. I want to give it a try. Um,
This is the most one of the lessons which we actually learned in a hard way with like paying a lot of money. Um, Usually, your target clients and customers are not like you, and they do not know the technical things which you know about your product, so they don't care. They just care that your product solves their problem, and they might have the different terms and terminology that they are speaking to the peers on the websites or on the business, and it is completely different from what you might expect. And that's why, adding to your words, that sometimes people try to explain in technical words, in difficult terms, how to use the product and what is the product is about. But basically, target audience doesn't understand it at all because they are not tech savvy people. They just want this just to plug and to receive the outcome.
and sometimes it's also very difficult to understand, how to make it easy for people without getting that feedback from people.
Yeah,
Because like you
definitely,
said,
definitely.
if we think about ourselves like we are these smart people that are building a business, that we think we know what people want, but basically every business is a hypothesis, right? You say that, okay, people have this problem, I have this kind of a solution, people will be ready to pay for it because it solves their problems. And
Mhm.
so you go and test it out, and basically you look at the metrics, you look at what people are telling you, you look at how they interact with your services, and sometimes you think that you have a solid solution. And we often see this in many software as a service companies, that the product that they focus the most on was actually the least relevant product for people, while a small feature that they've built in, they kind of baked it in, they didn't really expect it to be very popular, but it turned out to be the most wanted feature of their service. And ultimately, they had to pivot around it. They had to provide that specific service. They had to focus more on that because that was what the people wanted. And I think that it's very important as a founder to be flexible, to be open to feedback, and to not have this mindset that, what I'm building is definitely what people want. I'm 100% sure about it. I'm 100% right.
Mhm.
Sometimes you do have to stick to your guns. Sometimes you do have to kind of trust your gut about certain things. But at the same time, if you're always going to be blind to what people want, you're most likely going to create a product that not many people will actually want. And it's important to avoid that trap as a founder, and to actually look more at what do people actually want? What do people tell you? How do people engage with whatever you're building? Because sometimes people can also tell you something which isn't necessarily true, right? I've seen some interesting videos of small, like creative solutions that were built back in the early 2000s.
Mhm.
And there was a company that stood out because they basically recorded a room of people watching like the animated short that they built showing their service. And instead of asking them directly, what do you think? Are you going to buy this? Are you going to use this? A person was actually watching this footage of people like watching a video and making notes at what point of time did they react and how did they react. And so basically, he was trying to figure out their body language to understand which aspects were actually interesting to them and which aspects made them bored or made them lose interest. I don't know if it's possible right now to simulate that kind of experience. What do you think about it? Do you think that we're able to actually like get that body language and get that deeper understanding of what do people want?
I think yes, you can, but there are privacy settings for that. But without any jokes, I think that yes, you can analyze this thing, but not directly. First, you can analyze it through the heat maps on your product on the page, and in most cases, people do that, and businesses do that. In the second part, you can actually analyze it based on the customer development interviews by just recording and going live, or just creating calls with them. And the third one is kind of technological part. Is just having the website which uses your webcam and tracks your in anonymous way how you respond and interact with one or other mm, elements of the website, I would say. But usually people use just one first and second option. And when you actually deal with the like thousands of people on your website as a traffic, if we speak about like mm, medium businesses, right? And usually sometimes small as well. Um, you need to just anonymize and generalize the outcome.
Got it. Got it. Thank you very much for inviting me here, Eugene. It's a big pleasure talking to you. I've
Yeah,
learned
me too. Me
quite
too.
a few interesting things from you right now, and it gave me
Yeah.
a lot of food for thoughts as well, since I also tend to kind of overcomplicate things in my own head when it comes to my own business ideas. Hopefully, I can break them down and decompose them into some simpler ideas and talk more about them in the coming months. But I do appreciate the time. I do appreciate these sessions, and I look forward to the next one that's coming next week.
Yeah, you're welcome. For everyone who is watching it in the recorded part, we will try to do this on a regular basis, on a weekly basis. So if you have any questions, or if you would like to be like presented on live, and present your project and speak about that, please write your information about the project in the comments below, and go to the specific post about how to submit your project to the community review live, and we will speak about that directly. For those guys who are in TikTok and who is watching, this is how we do our live sessions in the community. So basically, if you are interested, go to our community. It's completely free. The link is in my description. So, and we are welcoming you to this community where we speak about business, startups. You can meet different business owners. You can meet investors as well, and you can understand how to scale your startup better. But this is it for today, and thank you, Eugene, so much for speaking. And we'll be in touch, and see you soon, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, bye.